You can do it. You can do it, Zoom. Okay, perfect. Looks like we are live. Okay, yep, we are good, which is good, good, good. Okay, let me actually go and record this too, just in case. And then let me see what else am I missing. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let me just go on here for for live. Okay. Okay. Yep. Looks like we are good to go. All right. Welcome everyone to the 16th episode of the Lucky Charm podcast. I am your host, Leah, and of course, I am joined by my very good buddy and very special community guest, G, aka the Cartoon Hotspot.
Hello, everyone.
And this time, this episode, we are going to rank the Miraculous Ladybug Season Premieres to start each season. So, G, would you like to explain, because of Miraculous not airing these episodes in order, like, would you like to explain, like, how we are going to figure out which one's the season premieres for these seasons?
Yes, so we are going to be ranking the premieres, and like you said, the episodes don't always release in order. I distinctly remember season four's episode release was like episode six first, which is not the season premiere. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through production order, the ones that are listed as episode one on the Miraculous Ladybug wiki page. So that is Stormy Weather, which is the official pilot for season one, The Collector for season two, Chameleon for season three, Truth and Lies for season four, because Truth and Lies are technically one episode because they're parallel episodes. One of them is Marinette's point of view, and the other is Adrian's point of view. Season five is, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name, but it's the one with the time miraculous. And season six, we are also going to be doing it the same way as season four. So Clamata Queen and Illustrator, that one. So that's what we're going to be doing.
Mhm. Yes, yes. It's just as G said, miraculous, like I get it why they did it at first, but it's kind of at this point you really need to put it in in chronological order because now people have to like piece together, to figure out how, wait, let me check. Just need to figure out where is season two. This is season one. If I'm trying to remember, uh,
Second row on the left, the one with Gabriel.
oh yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to put them in order because like for some reason it got rid of it when I went on presentation mode. I'm like, no, I need to need to put these back on here. Season three. Oh no, wait. No, what are you doing, tier maker? There you go. Sorry, everyone. I have to fix this because it's doing some weird stuff. Um, oh boy, what is going on with you, tier maker? There you go. Or is it just my mouse? Um, but all right, so all right, G, let's talk about I guess the for season one premiere, we're gonna go based off of the production code. And from what I looked up, it's stormy weather of season one. So tell us your overall thoughts about
Okay.
stormy weather.
Stormy weather. I feel bad for those people who didn't have Stormy Weather as the premiere for season one. Because I know from my understanding, some countries had the bubbler as the premiere. I do remember seeing the bubbler first, in my opinion. Yeah, if I write in my mind, it's quite long ago. But Stormy Weather is the official premiere for season one. And my gosh, you could tell they put all of the budget in Stormy Weather because the choreography of the fight scenes, the animation, 10 out of 10, like a literal banger. But less on the technical side, more on the writing side. I think Stormy Weather works really, really well as a premiere because this is just a random cat and bug show. Remember, this is 2015.
Hmm.
Nobody has ever heard of Miraculous Ladybug. Random cat and bug in tight spandex suits. They had to start off with a banger. They had to intrigue the audience, and honestly, I think it did a really good job in introducing um, the characters of Adrian and Marinette and what this whole, like story engine is about. So we meet Marinette, who's this very clumsy, awkward, a little bit of a strange girl who has a crush on Adrian. We meet her friend, Alia, and Alia in
Hmm.
this episode was like really good. I really like Alia's characterization in this episode. It kind of gets a bit wonky across
Hmm.
this, but we get a vibe of who we get a sense of who these characters are, and each character has their own like individual identity. I will say we don't really get much on Adrian, but we get a lot on Cat Noir and his personality and his dynamic with Ladybug. And I think that was
Hmm.
really important to show because ultimately it is a superhero action adventure show. So you really do have to portray your superheroines, your superheroes, sorry, um, as best as you can. And I just think Stormy Weather did a really, really good job. And it also did a good job in introducing like what, like the conflict is in terms of like, okay, Hawkmoth is this masked villain who is trying to gain the Ladybug and the Black Cat miraculous. We don't know why he's doing that, but he needs the miraculous for a specific reason. So he sends out an Akuma. So I think it's a very great episode in sort of like establishing the world building of Miraculous Ladybug and also the characters as well. Some of it was just great. Like I said, the animation was really great. That's where all the budget went because it goes downhill from the choreography. Like me and you discussed this in a previous episode, Leah, but like you can tell as the seasons like progressed, the choreography gets a little very basic. Like they don't
Yeah.
get very, like not risky, but I'm blanking on the word. They don't get very creative with like the types of shots and the cinematography and all of that stuff. They get very basic, and the fight scenes get a little shorter, probably
Hmm.
like last 2 minutes, especially like in season 4. But
Hmm.
Stormy Weather's like fight scene was really good. That scene where like they're trying to defeat Stormy Weather and they're on the rooftop. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for me. So I'm gonna put Stormy Weather because it's season 1. I don't think it would be fair to put it on the S tier, but I'm going to put it in A because it does do a really good job. But just because it's season 1, it's just preventing it from being that top. Because I think I would say like a downside of it, and this is just a season 1 complaint in general, is that
Hmm.
the voice acting, in my opinion, was a little bit wonky. And when I was rewatching season 1, so like I said, it's not limited to just this episode. When I was rewatching season 1, like the voice acting is a little bit, and that's normal because it's season 1, so they're just getting used to the characters, and then by like season 2 you can tell like Bryce and Christina get really, really comfortable with the character.
Hmm.
But also the script as well was a little bit like the English script in season 1 was a little bit like weird. So that's why the voice acting was also a bit awkward at times and like unnatural at some points. But yeah, still
Hmm.
in A tier. I would rewatch that episode anytime I get.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I love the fight choreography. Like you said, you knew where they put their budget in the fight scenes. Yeah. And I think like it's a great way to I think it's like a great episode in showcasing the capabilities of the akumatized villain. And then at the same time balancing that out with like Ladybug and Cat Noir trying to stop the Akumatized villain. So it's like it offers a great balance because Stormy Weather, she is like, yeah, like her powers are very scary. You know, and I remember I really enjoyed the episode. And of course, it's ironic because we're going to talk about this later because this is like literally the same akumatized villain for a season premiere in the season 6 premiere. if you know what I mean. Which is irony in itself. But yeah, this was a very solid one, a solid like season premiere. You know, and like you said, yeah, if you actually go back and watch season one, yeah, the voice direction's a little bit weird, but like you said, it's probably because, the voice actors, they were just getting into the character, and they weren't comfortable yet, it's kind of like they were just finding their footing, when you think about it. But yes, I think, I think wasn't this the one where like Adrian was with the photographer or something and he was at the fountain?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, because I remember when I'm looking at the end card, I'm like, oh, it's that episode. And and Alia really shows like I think it also really establishes well, besides, how Marinette and Alia become, friends in the origin episode.
Mhm.
What, but this really solidifies why Alia is Marinette's best friend, BFF, um, pretty well. So yeah, like I would say, it's kind of like you kind of have to give this episode a benefit of the doubt because this is season one, and the show was, just finding its footing, it's kind of like, like the monster of the week type, if you know what I mean, G.
Mhm.
Like there's some shows that have like that monster of the week. This one's like akumatized villain of the week. Um, so I think, they establish it pretty well. We kind of get like, oh, okay, so I think, why season one was pretty nostalgic is because we get to see who the akumatized villain is and we get to know a little bit about them before, Marinette and Adrian have to transform when they get akumatized. So I think that's why season one um is pretty nostalgic for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so because I know like this episode also really solidifies where you're kind of like, oh, who is this villain? You know, because I think, a lot of people say, I love a villain when we don't know too much about him, and I know it was like theorized for years until it was like revealed in season two. Um, like who Hawkmoth was, and it's like, oh, and then but then people realize, wait, this actually makes a lot of sense. But yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, like I would say for like a season one premiere, in terms of production code, I would say Stormy Weather is definitely A, because I remember I enjoyed that episode a lot. Um All right, so let's go on to season two with the Collector
Ooh.
season two premiere. I think this one was an interesting one, but I want to hear your thoughts. G.
The Collector till this day is honestly one um one of the strongest episodes of Miraculous, like in its entirety. But two, one, in my opinion, the strongest opening. So just to get it out there, I'm gonna put it in. I would put it in S. I would put it in S because I remember watching Stormy Weather. So sorry, Stormy Weather, The Collector. So imagine this, right? Season one ends around like 2016. And then it goes on a hiatus. Miraculous goes on a hiatus for about 3 years, which is insane to me.
Hmm.
At that point, I genuinely forgot the show like existed because like I was sort of like I was a bit iffy with Miraculous in season one. That's like my whole like lore and my backstory with Miraculous. I was a bit iffy, but I did like occasionally tune into episodes, and it's like you don't have to watch it in order to understand it. So like I kind of fell out with it, and then I see The Collector one day on a random like day, and I'm like, oh, this show is still airing because, like I said, the hiatus was so long.
Hmm.
My goodness, I think they really, really like understood that. Okay, if we're gonna have a really long hiatus, understandable. If we're
Hmm.
gonna have a really long hiatus, we have to come back with a banger.
Hmm.
I think The Collector really did that. And I like how they didn't waste time in revealing who Hawkmoth was, because we know season
Hmm.
one with Volpina and Marinette going to Master Fu's office. So I was kind of afraid that they would sort of like not continue on from that. But no, season two picks up exactly where season one left off 3 years
Hmm.
later, but in their timeline,
Hmm.
obviously, like the same day. Um,
Hmm.
but I absolutely loved, in terms of like the writing process, I absolutely loved how like okay, we start off with Marinette talking to Miss to Master Fu, and she lies about the book where she found it from, and she goes on a hunt to find out who Hawkmoth is, and it's honestly a really really credible plan. The fact that they
Hmm.
were like, okay, whoever has this book probably also possesses the Butterfly Miraculous, so Marinette has
Hmm.
to figure it out. And she tells Adrian, like, sorry, Adrian Cat Noir, like, hey, I think it's Gabriel Agreste, but I don't know how to tell you why I think that, but just trust me on this one. And at the same time, I think this is one of the few times where Gabriel isn't a smooth brained because
Yeah. Hmm.
he's also thinking, I love how we see, like, okay, Master Fu is theorizing that whoever has the book is also Hawkmoth. But at the same time, Hawkmoth is theorizing, okay, if somebody else has got my book that Adrian took without my permission, they are probably going to figure out that I am Hawkmoth. So let me cover up my tracks just to be on the safe side. And I think that was really, really smart. I really liked how they were showing, okay, like Hawkmoth isn't just dumb. He is dumb for the most part, but in this specific like he was actually thinking like a really um credible villain. And so he
Hmm.
covers up his path by akumatizing himself, which okay, brilliant idea by the way. Um
Hmm.
and it's like it never occurs to the heroes that the butterfly holder can akumatize themselves. And I think that was really, really smart. And the fact that
Hmm.
he like sacrificed Natalie as well, just to
Yeah.
like the plan. Um so yeah, I absolutely loved it. And honestly, some people already knew that Gabriel was Hawkmoth from the episode.
Hmm.
The what's the Simon Says season one.
Yeah.
But I'll be so honest, at the time, I was genuinely shocked that Gabriel was Hawkmoth. I was like, oh, how did I not see that? Because looking back at it, I think Simon Says was a big giveaway, even though
Hmm.
the editing was really clever to kind of like
Hmm.
mislead you into thinking that no, like Gabriel isn't Hawkmoth. So when the collector premiered and I was like, what? Gabriel is Hawkmoth? Oh my gosh, the drama is about to get started because Cat Noir is Adrian and Gabriel is Hawkmoth.
Hmm.
No, the collector is just a really, really good episode. Like generally 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, I think like you said, I think it was like a lot of fans already like theorized, right? They're like, who's the identity of Hawkmoth, right? And then you like at first you're kind of like, I don't really believe it's Gabriel Agreste. And then this episode comes out, The Collector, which is, in technicality, the season two premiere. You're like, wait a minute, it was him. And then you kind of realize that they were pretty much foreshadowing that in, like you said, the episode Simon Says. Um, because like, and like you said, I think the editing was just brilliant because like it seems like the animators didn't want you to think it was too obvious, but the foreshadowing was there. Um, and I think Simon Says always made me laugh because it kind of came with that meme with Gabriel flapping his arms. Um, and I'm just like you could say that Gabriel played the part pretty well too.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know the exact timeline when Simon Says, takes place. I don't know if it's like before Volpina or I don't know. Like but it seems to point to that though. It seems that Simon Says seems to like point to that it's before Volpina.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, like I think it's just really brilliant, like you said, like most of the time, quote unquote from Smarty Pants, always calling Gabriel Agreste smooth brain, which he is most of the time, but this episode actually shows he is capable, where he's like, oh snap, someone's got the book. And it's like, if they figure out that I'm Hawkmoth, I better, like you said, cover your tracks, you know? And then literally Marinette as Ladybug had her suspicion, but then once that he akumatized himself, she's like, oh, he's not then because he got akumatized, and yeah, this is like one of his like smartest moments, I'll say, you know. So I think, the collector, I think wasn't that the one where like Marinette as Ladybug was in the house, in the Ogress house, and she was like, I think, was it that episode that she was like admiring like Adrian or something, or was that a different episode?
Oh, Simon Says.
Oh, it was Simon Says, okay. I just wanted to be sure I wasn't like mistaking it. But yeah, I think I'm trying to remember what was the ability he gave himself to akumatize for this? Was it like just like I don't know. Do you
He
remember?
basically he got this random like blank book, akumatized himself, and then he said his powers was which whoever he touches with the book gets absorbed into the book, like into the pages of the book.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, now I'm remembering now. Thank you for reminding me, G, because it has been a while since I've seen that episode. Um, But yeah, I think it was just brilliant, It's basically, wouldn't you say it's like one of the few moments he was smart, you know?
Absolutely.
It was like, yeah, because if I was in his position, if someone, like you said, you found out that, your own son took the book, right? And then he's like, oh no, someone's gonna figure out that I'm Hawkmoth. I better cover my tracks and akumatize myself so that way they won't suspect me. And it's like, and you could say, it's the same thing with like Lila in season 6 from what we're seeing. Like she's great at covering her tracks, you know. But Gabriel, like I said, this is one of the very few moments from season 1 to 5 where he actually was smart enough to like, oh snap. He kind of put like two and two together and it's like, cover my tracks, then they won't suspect me. Um but I'm trying to remember, like, was it like, I'm trying to remember how did Marinette come to the, like, her suspicion conclusion? Like, was it in a previous episode? Or was it like this episode? She kind of like had her suspicion and had the conclusion that it was Gabriel. Um,
What happened was at the start, she is talking to Master Fu. Master Fu is the one that has the suspicion. Well, not the suspicion, but he's like, whoever possesses this book is most likely Hawkmoth. That's my theory. He literally says
mm,
that. So Marinette goes, "Oh, Adrian." Like she in her mind, she's like, "Adrian possessed the book," but she doesn't tell Master Fu because she's worried because she obviously is in love with Adrian, so she doesn't want to tell Master Fu that Adrian has the book. Therefore,
mhm.
I think Bookmoth, which would have been funny because I feel like Master Fu would have been like, no, Adrian, Adrian's got the buddy. Don't worry about that. That would have been the
Yeah.
scenario. So Marinette leaves, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't. I found it in a park or whatever." And
Wow.
on her way back, she's like talking to Tiki, and Tiki's like, "Why didn't you tell Master Fu?" Then when she goes to school, which is weird because why are you going to school in the middle of the day? When she goes to school, Chloe and the class are in the classroom and they're huddled around Chloe. Chloe's crying because like Adrian has been like banned from going to school because his dad punished him. And then that's
Mm,
when Mary was like, oh, if Adrian was the one that took the book, that means he can't be Hawkmoth. So she's
yeah.
really happy. Then she starts theorizing, oh, it's Gabriel Agrest. And then she tells Cat Noir that like Gabriel is Hawkmoth. I think Gabriel is Hawkmoth because like look at the butterflies pattern in his mansions, and he never leaves his home. He doesn't even have a good relationship with his son. So she starts putting two and two together, which honestly was really, really smart. I like how she was thinking out loud and just like, putting her thoughts together. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's pretty much how she got that conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, when you think about it, remember I think I mentioned this in a previous episode that like with Strange, it's like yeah, like if I was in Marinette's shoes, I would have concluded it was Gabriel because yeah, like how is it this dude never gets out that much? Like that's like suspicious, you
It
know,
is.
it's a very suspicious thing to be not like out and about, and especially since he is a fashion designer. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you should be going to the studio to, actual in-person studio somewhere else and design, right? Um, so to me, it's very unrealistic. So that would make me, like I would feel like that would be the dead giveaway when you think about it. So, and I kind of like how Marinette came to that conclusion herself, I think, you
Yeah.
know, because she's like, and it's funny because when she's explaining this to like Cat Noir, and then AJ's like, huh? Like he's like so confused. I'm just like, and the fact that Adrian never questioned it either. Because I'm kind of like, if you have like a parent who's a fashion designer, they should be going to an inst to an actual location studio to do their work. Um, and that's the thing, that's what the movie did right, because at least Gabriel actually went out and, you know, actually went to like a fashion studio, right? In the movie. So I think, Marinette was right on the money. And of course, well, once he covered his tracks, she's like, oh wait, it can't be him then, because he was akumatized. Um, and you could say he was pretty good at tricking them too. Because like if he did not cover his tracks, then he would already been found out pretty fast.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
But
because
like, if
oh,
he
go ahead.
didn't use tracks, what would have their game plan been? Were they just gonna bust into his like mansion and just confront him and accuse him of being like Pokemon? Like I don't know. Like the fact that Gabriel managed to akumatize himself at the exact time they were about to go to his mansion, that was like perfect timing. But it makes me
Hmm.
question if Gabriel in this instance was a smooth brain. What would have been like Ladybug and Cat Noir's plan? Like
Yeah.
like got in there straight the facts right.
Yeah. But when you think about it, they needed like actual evidence, right? Because you can't just accuse someone until you actually have like actual physical evidence, right? Um, yeah, but at the same time, I do agree. It's like if, hypothetically, if Gabriel didn't akumatize himself in the collector, yeah, it's like, what would the game plan be? Like, is there going to be like, oh, we're going to tie you up and then you have to give us the butterfly? Is that what they were going to do?
The
Um,
kidnapping.
like so I think the collector was a great way to start off season two, because like season one, they were trying to get you all to guess, and then the fans were actually pretty smart, you know um if anything, before they even like started foreshadowing, and Simon says that like, yeah, Gabriel Gress is like, I think like, I think also people pointed out that like, oh yeah, didn't you guys know, like, they theorized that Gabriel was Hawkmoth because they have the same voice actor, right?
Yeah.
And that could have, and that was also a dead giveaway, because once you hear like, um, you know, because the thing is, like Gabriel, he doesn't even like disguise his voice, unlike Lila.
Yeah,
Um,
you're
you
right.
know, yeah. So I think that's how fans were able to figure it out pretty fast too, even before the collector came out. That they're like, he doesn't even disguise his voice. Like Marinette's like, okay, we know he's like an adult man, but we just, but of course there's a lot of adult men. Um, but I think it's because, like I said, people have pointed out, haven't you like, here's like a dead giveaway that I know for sure, fans have said that they share the same voice actor. And I'm like, that's actually true. And then now, we know that we know Lila is a much smarter villain than Gabriel because she's disguising her voice. Gabriel never disguised his voice, even when he was Hawkmoth. Um, so I think, that made it a little bit easier for fans to figure out. But yeah. But yeah, I definitely agree. S tier because it's very vital and important to the story, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, because now we finally get our confirmation and um they kind of let us know that like, oh yeah, oh yeah, you fans were correct. You fans were correct the entire time. Um, but yeah, I definitely agree. It's definitely an S. All right, so season three premiere was Chameleon according to, production code. What are your thoughts on Chameleon?
Okay, I'm just gonna rip the bandage off. I don't like Chameleon at all. I think it's my least favorite premiere. Um, I just I think okay, what I would say is I think some of the premieres are indicative of how the season will go. So with the collector, that was really good, and therefore season two, in my opinion, was also really good. Like it started off with a good note, and it ended off on a good note as well. I think season two overall is probably the best season of the entire show. With season three, I'm not gonna say season three is the worst season of the show, but it's definitely not the best. Um,
Mm,
and I would say like a big part of that is because it just starts off really, really poorly. I do not like Chameleon like at
mm,
all. I like the fact that they bring back Lila. I like that continuity because we have Lila in the season two finale of in the season two finale, at least part one. So we know, okay, like let's bring her back a bit, and we are going to see more of her in the season three. And what I did like is I like how they added a new angle of it. Like, yes, Lila absolutely despises Ladybug, but what would
mm,
happen if she despises Marinette as well? I
mm,
think that's really like poetic. So I like that.
mm,
I'm not gonna say like Chameleon didn't have some good moments. It did. I like the Lila, or at least the start of the Lila Marinette rivalry. However,
mm,
where Chameleon kind of falls down on is one, yes, it continued right after the Heroes Day, probably like a day or a week after the Heroes Day. I don't know the exact timeline, but it feels like every character development that like the characters have made have just kind of gone like have just been undone, and that's just the common denominator in season three in general. So this isn't just exclusive to Chameleon, but I don't know. I just it was so like lackluster.
mm,
I didn't expect anything to be very, like over the top with season three. I don't think every premiere has to be like super, super like, plot heavy for it to be a good premiere. Some can be really
mm,
like, fillery, but still a really good thing. But I don't know, like we finished off with Heroes Day. So I'm thinking, okay, what's gonna go? Like, what's gonna happen in season three? Like, we're gonna pick up from here. The stakes are definitely higher, and you would think because, like, assuming back then when season three premiered, so it was like what 2018, 2019,
mm,
um, when season three premiered. At the time, we didn't know that Miraculous was gonna be renewed for 100,000 more seasons. All was that it was gonna be a 5 season story. That's it. So you would think by then season three would sort of like start picking up like important story threads and weaving it together, but it doesn't do that.
yeah.
Um, season three technically is the midpoint of the narrative, the first narrative arc at least. But
Mm,
I just think with the whole like Lila thing, like yeah, we get it, she lies, but I think some of
mm,
her lies are just incredibly stupid to the point where it
mm,
helps the audience. Like I get it, it's supposed to be funny, like oh, like when Max was like, Lila, you saved my eye, but Max is canonically the smartest character in
mm,
class with an IQ of like 1,000 because he built a damn robot. So like
mm,
you expect me to believe that he would believe Lila's like so like I get the angle they were trying to go for. They were trying to exaggerate how much of a manipulator and skilled Lila is. But if anything, I feel like it just makes her look weak because if you have to have such stupid, unbelievable lies with characters
mm,
that are generally not, they're not dumb characters. I would say
yeah.
the cast is pretty just average. They're fine. And
Mm,
like, if you have to have such really dumb lies just to make this character look like she's a manipulator, it weakens.
mm,
And I just didn't understand that. And it's just like I don't know why every character is blind to her lies. It's not like her lies are
mm,
very like, like elaborate or
yeah.
very believable, which is like really stupid. And it's only
Yeah.
Adrian and it's only Marinette that are seeing through the nonsense that Lila is basically saying. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just one part of it that I didn't really like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just whoa, like what's going on? And it's like I would be less inclined to like dislike a lot of Marinette's class because I feel like a lot of people who say that they don't like Marinette's class is valid because the lies are just so stupid. But if the lies were actually like like they made sense, then it's like, okay, we can sympathize with the class because Lila is just generally that good at lying. But because her lies are really dumb, you're just like, why are
Mm-hmm.
you believing this random girl you met over your classmate that you've known for like 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just don't really like the chameleon. I feel like you can skip watching the chameleon and everything will still
Mm-hmm.
make sense in season three. Whereas
Yeah.
like if you skip the collector in season two, nothing makes sense because you're just gonna
Yeah.
like I don't know like style queen and you're like wait what you know what I
Yeah.
mean like that
Mm-hmm.
context. But yeah, chameleon. Let's put it in D, in my opinion. But if you feel free to disagree.
Oh no, I definitely agree. It's like I agree. I would put it in D too, because it's like, it's only saving grace, like you said, is like introducing, the Marinette and Lila rivalry. That one, that part of it was good, because obviously we're seeing that more in season 6 now. Now that Lila became the new villain. But yeah, like I feel like the writing was just like, why did you have to make all of Marinette's classmates dumb? In terms of the writing, right? Because like you said, they're pretty smart, especially Max. So it's like, why would Max fall for this lie? It's like, yeah, like it's kind of a bit it's kind of a like they're running on thin line, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like, yeah, like like the rest of Marinette's classmates, like, why did they write them to be like believing these lies? Obviously Adrian is the only other one other than Marinette to not believe it, is because, we've seen that in Volpina, where like Ladybug exposed her lies, and then he's like, Adrian's like, oh, she lied. Oh,
Yeah.
that's not good. Um, so I think, yeah, I think, it's just the writing that like, yeah, because it's kind of like, I just don't like how they have to make all the other classmates believe the lies, where it's like, and like you said, it's like, why would they believe her over like Marinette, who's been at school with you guys for a lot longer? And you're gonna believe this girl who barely comes to class? Like, yeah, it's definitely a weaker season premiere. But like I said, the only saving grace is just like you said, oh, okay, so Lila has like a rivalry with Ladybug. Oh, and then it's like, let's flip the script of like, oh, let's introduce the Marinette and Lila rivalry. And I kind of feel like that's like its only saving grace. Um, because I think there was like a weird animation error. I think people pointed out, when Marinette tried to call Lila out on her lie, and then all her classmates react, and then you see like Adrian mad, and then people are like, why is Adrian like on Lila's side? And then like I think Thomas Strook said that was an animation error. And I'm just like, huh? Yeah, because people pointed out like Miraculous fans, we are very like we pay attention to all the fine details when you think about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely D. Oh, okay. The next one, oh wait, this is the one with two. It's the two-parter, like from two different perspectives, but they are like on the same. It's Truth and Lies for season 4.
Ooh, okay. Um,
We'll just put it as both together, right? Because they're technically the same episode, but it's just from
yeah,
different perspectives.
yeah. Um, okay. Truth and Lies. It's been a while since I watched those episodes. I'll start off with the negatives this time. I think the only negative I can sort of think of when it comes to both truth and lies, and this is less about their episodes in general, but more just how like the writers decided to go about a certain relationship, or rather relationships. I didn't understand why Lucanet and Ajigami broke up in those episodes. Like I
Mm.
understood why they broke up, but I didn't understand why they broke up so soon in those episodes.
Yeah.
Because they had spent half of season two, well, a couple of episodes of season two, majority of season three, building up these side ships, which a lot of the fandom grew very fond of. I do remember quite a lot of people and like Lucanet, and they like Ajigami as well, which it's a surprise to me because the Love Square fans, whew, they can be quite like enthusiastic about the Love Square. So the fact that there's like these side ships like Lucan and Adrigami that honestly are quite, are budding in terms of popularity with the Love Square. Maybe not on their level, but it is giving its run for its money. It's like, okay, you spent this amount of time showing that, oh, Marin and Adrian do have chemistry with other characters, and then you break them up in the first episode, literally right after they got together. And it's crazy
Hmm.
when you think about it in terms of the timeline. Like
Hmm.
the ending of season three, I think it's Miracle Queen.
Yeah.
Miracle
Yeah.
Queen
Yeah, I
happens,
think it's
and then
Miracle
like
Queen.
Truth and Lies. Exactly, yeah. Truth and Lies happen like literally a week after they get together. So it's like,
Hmm.
oh, you guys are only together for a couple of days. Damn, this relationship did not work out. And it just
Yeah.
makes, I feel so bad for like Kagami and Luca, because it's like after that you don't see them for like a lot of the season four. So it's like, what was the point of that? It was like, what was the point? You could have just delayed that. You could have just not had them be together. Um,
Hmm.
that was a major negative, and also like the fact that the animation just wasn't great at all.
Yeah.
Like I was looking back at it, like rewatching it, and also watching like some of Smarty Pants's videos on it, and I was
Hmm.
like, "Damn, the animation's such an eyesore." Back then, it didn't seem so bad, but now, yikes. And the fight scenes are also like really short. That's when like the fight scenes start getting really, really short, specifically.
Hmm.
But that's the negative. Positives about it, I'll start off with truth. Well, in general, I really like the idea of parallel episodes. That's really smart. I've never seen that before. Um,
Hmm.
I love how like, and it's so like, I just love how like we see everything in Marinette's point of view, and then we see everything in Adrian's point of view, but like the episodes kind of match together. And there was this person on Twitter or TikTok that got both episodes and started like mixing it into one episode, and that was
Oh.
so like great, because it's like, okay, the animators and the writers really, really did a good job in making sure like each episode kind of like matches in terms of scene.
Hmm.
So that was really great because you can make an episode out of the two episodes and it would still work. So I
Hmm.
really like that. For Marinette's episode Truth, I think Truth was the stronger episode. I think Lies was
Hmm.
a lot weaker than Truth. Um, but I like how we see like, okay, like Marinette's guardianship, she's under a lot of stress, and we see that, okay, this is going to be the main like story for season four, Marinette's guardianship, and how it's like taken a toll on her mental health, how it's taken a toll on the relationship she has, etc. How she's struggling with like disciplining the Kwamis and just like being, like present in all her relationships. I really like that. Um, the only thing I would say about that is I didn't understand why, and this is more so like, again, the general thing is like, I think the episode works without the whole Luca is Jagged Stone's son drama. I think that was so random. Like looking back at it, that was so random, and it's just like, what? Like it felt like we've had a lot of it, like a lot of drama as it is. Like we have the whole Marinette is a guardianship, and Marinette is like avoiding, or not avoiding Luca, but she keeps disappearing on their dates, etc.
Hmm.
That in itself is like is enough drama to sink your teeth into. But then
Hmm.
we have this random reveal that Jagged Stone is Luca's dad, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? And it could have been an episode on its own. but they decide to
Mhm.
shove it all in one. And I'm just like, oh, yikes. Yikes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
like
then with lies, it's just like lies were just weaker in general.
mhm.
But it did give us that really, really funny meme where Adrian's like, excuse me. I would say that's the best part of it.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. With truth, it's like to me, like the reveal that, Luca and Julika are Jagged Stone's children should have been for a different episode, if you know what I mean. Like that plot point should have been in a different episode because um we already have the main where it's like in truth, Marinette keeps disappearing on Luca on their dates, right? And and the fact I think, Luca is questioning this, which rightfully he should. But yeah, it's a little bit weird on Adrian's end because remember Marinette did that with Illustrator, Adrian not questioning it, but Luca questioned it. Um, but yeah, like yeah, Truth was definitely the stronger of the two. And I did see that one that you mentioned, G, that like someone like compiled both episodes and combined them together. Um I think it really shows the capabilities that they were like taking note of like attention to detail. Like, oh, if this is happening on, Marinette's end with Luca, then this is happening on Adrian and Kagami's end. Um, so I think, like it's actually, pretty decent, I would say if you combine the episodes, like, because I think when you think about it, I kind of like how they call it truth and lies.
Mhm.
Because even though they are like opposites, like in Miraculous, though, I think it's like symbolic of like two sides of the same coin. Like, just from watching both of these episodes. If you know what I mean, like, do you know what I mean, G?
Yeah, no, yeah, I absolutely understand. Yeah.
Like, the reason I say that, even though truth and lies are like completely opposites, right? But when it comes to Miraculous, from Marinette's perspective, she can't reveal to Luca, that she's Ladybug, right? Like she can't reveal that stuff, to him. Otherwise it could put him in danger. It's kind of the typical superhero trope thing that like, oh, I can't let the person that I love know that I'm a superhero because, the typical villain's gonna kidnap the person you love the most. Um, but I think, with Marinette's perspective, she has to hide this truth, this very, very like secretive truth from Luca. Um, like hence why Luca is like, you can tell me anything. That's what I love about Luca's character. He's like, you can tell me anything, but Marinette can't. And then meanwhile, with like, with lies, Adrian kept lying and over and over and over again. But when you think about it, Adrian and Marinette were basically doing the same thing to both Luca and Kagami, despite the episodes being like total opposites. Like Adrian kept lying and lying and lying, and Kagami is like, I don't know if I can be in a relationship with someone who's constantly lying to me, you know? Um, so I think, it's great parallels. Like in Miraculous, truth and lies can be like on the same coin, and I think they did a great job exhibiting that in both episodes. Because Luca's like, he gets akumatized into truth, right? And then if he uses his power, like he can ask them a question, they'll be truthful you know um so I think truth and lies in this perspective they are like two sides of the same coin, and I think they did a great job exhibiting that, and I like Kagami bringing that up, that like um because from Kagami's perspective, you can't be dating someone who's constantly lying to you, you know like wouldn't you be like Kagami? Gee, if you were in her position, if like the person that you're dating keeps like disappearing and they're like lying to you and feeding you lies.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't do that. And it's like I get Kagami's perspective because she says a really important line. She's like, I lie to be with you because she's like,
Mm-hmm.
but she's like, but you lie to get away from me. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
to her, in her perspective, it's like, yeah, you are lying to get away from me. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, did I do something wrong? Like, do you just not,
Mm-hmm.
did I read too much into this? Do you just not want to be with me?
Mm-hmm.
So I completely understand her perspective. I, I do think Lies ended on a more like, I feel like Lies made Adrian look like such a bad boyfriend
Yeah.
compared to like, how Truth made Marinette. Because at least with Marinette, you kind of understood why
Yeah.
she's acting the way she's the guardian. And I think they did specify that Hawkmoth had been akumatizing a lot more frequently. So I did understand why Adrian kept disappearing more often. But
Mm-hmm.
with Adrian, it was like the effects were worse because one, he wouldn't come up with a good excuse. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's just like you could tell he just wasn't mentally in it. At least like I feel like Marinette was more into Luca than Adrian was into Kagami. Like, yeah, he
Yeah.
was into her, but like it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. 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 I definitely agree. Yeah. Because I know a lot of fans did ship Luca Net, because Luca's a chill guy, and you can clearly see they had like a spark, in Captain Hard Rock, when they first meet. Meanwhile, with like, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, with Adrian's case, it's a little bit strange, like you said, because it's like it feels like Marinette was trying to be as invested in the relationship, but she kept, like you said, Hawkmoth was like akumatizing more often, so that's why she had to disappear. And then Adrian's like, oh, I gotta lie, you know, um if anything. So I think it's just yeah, it was a little bit strange in Adrian's perspective, but I do love that quote that you mentioned that Kagami said to Adrian that I lied to be with you, but you lied to get away from me. It's like that really hurts. Like Adrian's not doing it on purpose though, when you think about it, because this is a superhero show. Um, but it's kind of like it always seems to conveniently happen when they're like together, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Which really sucks, and I can see why Kagami sees it from her perspective. Like I said, I'm validating like both perspectives on both couples. Like when she agreed, G, like that you're validating um like both perspectives, I'm not on one or the other because like I said, we as the audience, we know that Agent and Marinette, they got that duty. They have that duty to be Ladybug and Cat Noir. And it's hard to be in a relationship when you can't even tell the truth and you have to lie, you know. So I think they did a pretty decent job. Where would you put this for Truth and Lies, ranking them together since they're like connecting episodes?
Um, I put it in C.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely, yeah, I do agree. Like it's like it's not too bad, but yeah, what brings it down, like you mentioned, is adding that extra plot point which should have been saved for a different episode, about Jagged Stone being Luca and Julika's father. That should have been saved for a different episode because we already got the whole thing, because literally the episode's called Truth, right? And that's supposed to be centered on like Marinette always ditching Luca on their dates, and obviously with lies, it's Adrian doing the exact same thing that Marinette's doing, but has to lie to Kagami. So I think they did a very great job with symbolically, like saying that truth and lies are like the same side of the coin. Like even though they're total opposites, but because of Miraculous, they're showcasing that um they're both hiding the truth and in a way, like they're constantly lying to, Luca and Kagami, you know? And the thing is, it's like, yeah, I think it's like breaking them up in these two episodes was a very weird move in writing. I'm kind of like, I don't know, did they just want us to feel satisfied for a bit and then just break them up in the season premiere?
I,
Like,
I feel like they just couldn't see. I feel like they just didn't know what to do with them after because like it's so obvious because like after they break up, you don't see them for like you don't see Kagami. Well, you see Kagami in Mr. Pigeon 72, but even after that, you don't see her for like a good 20 episodes.
hmm
Uh, with Luca, you don't see him until like episode like 12 or something.
hmm
It was like they just didn't know what to do with their characters outside of like serving Adrian and Marinette.
hmm Yeah, so I think, putting it in C was like best because yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, like it's just weird writing because it's like, what was the point of getting Lucanette and Ajagami at the end of season 3? And then season 4, you just break them up in the season premiere? Like it gets my eyebrow like, okay, like I wouldn't have done that, but I think you're right. You know, I think they just didn't know what to do, because originally the role was like, oh, here's like another, like two other ships that can break the love square, right? But then it's kind of like they dropped the ball in terms of writing, where it's like they build it up pretty good, but then it's like, why did you like break them up like too fast? Like it's kind of weird on the writers, if you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, I kind of feel like they did not know what to do with them because it's like, what else would Luca and Kagami be doing, right? Um, if they just stayed with like Marinette and Adrian, like what would their roles be, right? Like if you kind of like think about it, oh, they just be the love interests who are currently dating, Endgame, obviously. Um, but yeah, definitely C for me as well. Ooh, okay. Season 5 premiere is Evolution. This is the one where they took back the rabbit Miraculous. Um,
Hmm, Evolution. I remember liking this episode a lot,
mhm,
like a lot. Um, okay, positives. I do really like how immediately after season 4, when in Strike Back after Hawkmoth gets all of the miraculous, he immediately just goes for the one that's the most dangerous and starts using it
mhm,
on the same night. I really like that because it shows like, okay, like this guy, this lunatic has 15 miraculouses in possession.
mhm,
And I do like also how like the heroes were like, he has the time, the bunny miraculous. He's
mhm,
gonna start reversing stuff. So we have to like be on it.
mhm.
Um, but am I still on positives? Yeah, I mean, I like that. The stakes were quite high.
Yeah,
Um, and I enjoy time traveling episodes, but I also despise them, and that's where I'm going in with my negatives. Um, the longer I think about time traveling episodes, the more it makes no sense to me.
yeah, it
Um,
hurts my brain.
it does, it really does. Um, I didn't understand why. Like I understood they were trying to go for the whole idea of like, okay, at this point, Gabriel has gone insane. Like it's
Mhm,
beyond just wanting to bring back his wife. He's
mhm,
genuinely obsessed with Ladybug. I understand that, but it came out of nowhere. I think they
Yeah.
should have been building up this obsession thing, and
Hmm.
they could have been building up this like sort of like corruption arc. I guess Gabriel was always evil from the beginning, but this like corruption arc where like it started off with him wanting to bring back his wife, then slowly over time he becomes more and more like corrupted by his dark usage of the miraculous, and then he starts losing his original like motive and just
Hmm.
hell bent on like seeking revenge against Ladybug, even though that's he shouldn't really care. He just wants to get his hands on the miraculous. I get that, but for Gabriel to like see he literally has the opportunity to put the hard drive 15
Hmm.
years before they create Adrian or whatever.
Hmm.
Why didn't he do that? Like, why?
Hmm.
Why? And I get it again to show his obsession with Lady because Natalie calls him out on that. But in my opinion, it's just so stupid. Like, you have
Yeah.
what you want. You
Hmm.
can reverse time. But then again, would that work? Would
Mm,
that actually
yeah.
work? If he did, supposing he wasn't a smooth brain, would and he put the hard drive um right there, wouldn't that just create a different timeline? So he'd still be
Yeah.
living in his timeline.
Yeah.
Create a separate stream because this is where again the time traveling thing gets a bit muddled. Sometimes they
Hmm.
treat it as like different streams, and other times
Hmm.
they treat it like, oh, if you go back in time, it affects your stream. But because like they do that with like Cat Blanc. Cat Blanc is like, okay, if we do this, it affects our stream. But then in the same episode, they kind of contradict themselves and they're like, oh no, Cat Blanc still exists. There's still a universe where Cat Blanc exists. Um, but we have avoided that. So it's like, which one is it? Which rule are you following in time traveling? So I don't
Hmm.
honestly know what would have happened if Gabriel put the hard drive back in time.
Yeah.
I just honestly think it would have created a separate time stream.
Yeah.
So that's that. Again, and then more on the time traveling stuff, we actually find out that Master Fu met Ladybug and Cat Noir
Hmm.
however many years ago. I think he was that was when he was like fleeing the Nazis, I
Yeah. Because I think they wanted the miraculous,
think. Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
That's why he was fleeing. Um, and that, yeah. So I think, that I think it comes like full circle too, that like, oh, okay, I have to give it to these specific individuals because they visit me when I was younger, when I was fleeing. I think that's like a really great full circle moment, if you know what I mean. It kind of reveals why they were chosen because a future version of themselves actually go back in time. Um, to actually like borrow a miraculous because obviously like Gabriel had like all of the other miraculouses, right? So they kind of had to it's kind of like but like when you think about it, it kind of feels like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm,
Um, like I think it was like that thing in Endgame where like Bruce Banner was talking to the oh my gosh, I forgot I keep forgetting her name. It's that lady who had the time stone before Doctor Strange, but they kind of explained the same thing like you're saying, like, oh, um, would it create a separate stream timeline, right? If you if you take something away from that timeline, right? Um, and then Bruce Banner is like, oh, but if we come back to the point that we took it, it will vanish. And I'm like, I don't know if that's what they're if I don't know if that's the same rule that they're yeah, like I don't know, like I kind of feel like it's plot convenience at this point because it's hard to understand time travel um, because to me, I've said this time and time and again, G, that when it comes to time travel, like it sounds easy to understand on paper, but when you try to execute it, it's because remember, I had a hard time understanding the Dark Castle in season 6.
Yeah,
I had a hard time understanding that because I'm kind of like, where did that start, right? With that episode. Remember how like Bunny Bug is like, oh, I gotta tell my past self about the plan. But I'm like, how did this plan start?
right. The plan just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So it like I get it, they were trying to explain it in evolution because obviously when the episode starts, you see like a future version of them, right? They're like running through a portal, like they're chasing, what do you call it? Monarch through the portal, like future versions of themselves, and they're like so confused. They're like, what? They're like, what just happened? Um, and then they try to explain it in the episode, right? When they're chasing monarchs through time. And then they run past the beginning of the past selves and they're like, what? And
Yeah.
I'm like, so it does, like, I get it. They were trying to explain it. It's a little bit easier than the Dark Castle, I would say, a little bit easier to understand. But at the same time, I'm still confused. Um, because I think a lot of people were like, wait, how come Ladybug let Cat Noir have the rabbit miraculous? You know, the one from the future Alex, right? Adult Alex. How come she let Cat Noir use it? And then some people theorize that it could be because of, you know, they're trying to, I guess, because they saw that future Cat Noir had it. I don't know if that was the reason. I don't know if that's what you think, G. Um, or maybe because time travel requires like precision. I don't know. That was like another theory. But what do you think, G? Why do you think like Ladybug would like let Cat Noir use the rabbit miraculous in this case?
Um, I think it's less of a technical thing and just more so like, oh, like it's you and me against the world, so I'm gonna start trusting you now, so you can just, do the unification or
Hmm.
like whatever it is. Um, but I completely forgot that they took the Rabbit Miraculous from Future Alex.
Hmm.
I'm not even gonna bother unpack that. Like that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Um, even how Alex, current Alex became Bunnix. That makes no sense to me. Because why did she
Yeah.
need miraculous, and why did it have to be? It's such a. I might have to rewatch Evolution because honestly, it's been years since I watched it. Like I've only seen it once, and then I just like didn't watch it again. Um, I do think, however, out of all of the time traveling episodes, Evolution does make the most sense. I think it
Yeah.
follows it follows the loop really.
Yeah. Yeah, it
The ones,
follows the loop better. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess Evolution would go in B.
Go in B.
I remember liking it a lot more than Truth and Lies, but I still
Hmm.
remember feeling like, okay, it could have been stronger. So I would
Yeah.
put it,
Yeah.
but also I didn't understand why. Was this the episode where they also explained that Alex can't like stay in their timeline, or was it
Y-
the episode after
Yeah.
that? Because I do know like uh Strike Back, Risk, evolution, multiplication, and destruction all happen in one night. So I just don't
Hmm.
remember which episode it was specifically that like they were like, yeah, Alex, you have to stay in the burrow.
Yeah, it was this episode because remember they gave her the dog and she's like, "Wait, I thought I was supposed to have the rabbit." Right? So she ends up helping them, and they take back the present one. They take back the present rabbit miraculous that Monarch had. And then Alex was willing to just give it, even though she's kind of like sad, oh, I don't get the rabbit. And then she's like, now's the time. And then she transforms into Bunnix, present Alex turns into Bunnix. Um, so I think, yeah, I think it makes sense though, you know, in terms of narrative because they have mentioned like literally, I think. adult Alex has mentioned, I forgot which season episode, that messing with tampering with time is a dangerous thing because we saw that in the Dark Castle with what Marinette did. And I'm just like, why do you think you're not the rabbit miraculous holder, Marinette? Um, and messing with time is a dangerous thing. So I think that's why they told her, yeah, you need to stay in the burrow until we beat Hawkmoth. And when you think about it, adult Alex has mentioned that she is the hero of the last chance. If you remember that.
Yes.
So, so I think, like I know Smarty Pants have like talked about this episode, and it's like I don't understand why she needs to stay away. It's like, well, this episode kind of proves he was going to reverse something. They didn't know what it was, but they knew at some that he was going to use the rabbit miraculous. And it's dangerous to mess with time. Obviously Gabriel didn't care about messing with time, so they're like, "Oh yeah, this villain does not care if he tampers with time." Um, so to me, I think it makes sense why she has to stay away. Um, so like, but yeah, I know Smarty Pants like that's where he kept calling Gabriel a smooth brain in his review of this episode. Um, and then I think he also said I would be a much better villain than this dude. I'm like, yeah, you probably would. Um, but I think, this really gave it a great season premiere because I think it kind of gave us the illusion that, like, oh, wait, are we going to recover each of the miraculouses one by one? And that was not the case. So, um, like, what did you think, G? Do you think they set it up like pretty interesting for season 5 where it's like, wait, are we gonna end up getting all of the miraculouses back? And it's like, oh no, it's just the rabbit. And then all the other ones is like until after, Gabriel made that wish. Um,
I think, hmm, I don't know. Like, I know I said earlier on that I like the fact that the stakes were high, so it makes sense they had to get it back.
mhm,
Honestly, like now that you asked me this question, I honestly thought back then that okay, if they got the rabbit back, they're gonna get each one back in each episode because each
mhm,
episode was like named after the one of the powers. But then again, there's
mhm,
only 15 miraculous, so that's 15 episodes. You still got another 11 left to go. Uh,
mhm,
what's I don't know, but I would say that season 5 did start off a lot stronger than I thought it would. So
mhm,
I assumed that season 5 as a whole would be really,
mhm,
really strong. Obviously, I
mhm,
know that's not the case, but like
mhm.
Evolution did really have me hyped for season 5, and that's a good thing. I think your premiere should always have you hyped for the season, even if it's not like a plot heavy premiere.
Yeah. Yeah, because like literally I think it's also funny like um I'm just gonna give shout out to Smarty Pants because Smarty Pants be all asking the $1 million questions in his reviews. I know he mentioned in his review for this episode that like, oh, Natalie was the one who gave Gabriel the plan to like put the hard drive thing, right? It was like a hard drive thing, right? USB stick or something.
Yeah,
And he's like, "Oh, why did I think of that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because you're a smooth brain." Like, and I kind of like that he also mentioned that remember when Gabriel kept using the miraculous powers? Like there was like a moment where he like I think he like passed out. I don't know if it was passed out or he fainted because, he was using so many at once that he like passed out. And then Ladybug and Cat Noir are just like, and then, no, actually, Smarty Pants is like, this is embarrassing for a villain. And I'm like, I'm kind of like, I actually agree because I know the stakes are high, but he's like abusing so many powers at once, where he's like, he's pretty much weakened by using too many miraculouses. Um, and I think that was just like, yeah, that was kind of embarrassing for a villain, to be like passed out because he kept, constantly using like multiple miraculous powers. And then you just see Leba and Cat Noir like, like they just stare at him like, I'm like, why don't you just steal back all of them while he's like fainted? Like to me, it's like instead of staring at him, why don't you just get the miraculouses? Like, it was just kind of funny. Um, and I think if I remember, adult Alex got like venomed by Monarch, so that's why they had to like take the rabbit miraculous from her. Um, and And I think, like, did you find it interesting that they decided to lure Gabriel, I think, in the season two finale area of the timeline? What did you think of that? I'm very curious.
Ooh, okay. I don't know if they ever explained why it had to be that timeline. I mean, again, I'd have to rewatch it, but I did find it interesting how it was that time specifically. Um, that they picked Heroes Day time. So,
Hmm.
so basically, what I'm getting at is like when we, so, so that technically, because of the events of evolution, technically speaking, Heroes Day happened, and we didn't even know that like the season five timeline was also happening in the first place. Like whilst the heroes of the season two timeline were fighting Hawkmoth, season five's heroes, which honestly aren't that old, much older than season two's heroes, were fighting Monarch. That's so
Hmm.
interesting when you think about it. Like, oh, like they were there the entire time. That's so like cool. But I
Yeah.
don't know why. I think probably because that would have been the only time where like the timeline wouldn't have been disrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Thanks for explain it.
Yeah. Because I kind of feel like, from what I've noticed in the time traveling, whenever time travel's involved in an episode, I kind of noticed like I guess it was like meant to happen, kind of. I think you mentioned it was like a paradox that it's actually meant to happen or something. Um, because this episode kind of proves that, this episode gave us the revelation of why Master Fu chose Marinette and Adrian because he met them. Like a future version of themselves came to him when he was younger, when he was a young man. So I kind of feel like maybe they're trying to show us that there's just some events that are just meant to happen in time travel, I guess. But that's just my crazy big brain theory. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed evolution. Like I wish this would have been the case that we would have at least have them get like Miraculous's back in each episode. I think that would have been an interesting thing because season five, as we both know, they dropped the ball. Like there was like weird filler, I would say. Wouldn't you say in season five that there was like weird filler where it's uh like this could have been like us getting like have Marinette and Adrian get like a miraculous back, if you know what I mean. Like the
Yeah.
the filler was just weird in season five. Um, because I felt like, once evolution was pretty strong, like it's not as strong as Collector, don't get me wrong, but it started off pretty good and then it's kind of like we kind of slowed down with the story in season five. And then I kind of like dropped out a bit because it's like, why are we getting so many filler? Because this is season five. There shouldn't be filler, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then I came back in where it's like, okay, the story's picking up. And then I remember we were talking about season 5, and I'm just like, representation. Oh, very weird. Very weird way to be. I was like, please. I was like, to me, I remember we talked about this in a previous episode where it's like it should have been a flashback, not some weird stage show thing they were doing. Um, but yeah, like see, but Evolution was is definitely up there, with having a strong season premiere. And then we are going to talk about the season 6 one now, and it is Queen. What are your thoughts about Queen?
Ooh, okay. Um, hmm, I think Climatic Queen is a is a really great premiere. Obviously, we didn't get that first. We got Illustrator first. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't know because like there were some parts, and this is what I was saying earlier. There are some parts in like Climatic Queen that don't feel like a season premiere,
Hmm.
whereas parts in Illustrator does feel like a season premiere. You
Hmm.
know, like with
Yeah.
Illustrator, I know we're not like ranking Illustrator in this one, but with Illustrator, um, like we start off with Marinette and Alia talking about the new Hawkmoth, whatever, and they're
Hmm.
staying up all night and talking about it, and then we're also talking about like how Marinette is afraid to talk to her boyfriend, um, because now Gabriel's gone, so it's like it feels a bit weird, and she doesn't know how to be normal with him or whatever. We also get introduced to the idea that like the heroes are allowed to literally um like turn up for non-Akuma like issues. So like we get a lot of like, not backstory, but we get a lot of like, okay, this is season 6. This is clearly a new story arc, new villain. Things are just like readjusting. And we also get the
Hmm.
fact that Alia and Nino are trying to find out or investigate like who the new Hawkmoth is. So I think
Hmm.
Illustrator works more as a season premiere, but
Hmm.
Climatic Queen is a season premiere.
Yeah.
And Climatic Queen, I understand why it could work as a season premiere because like okay, how I would say is that Illustrator works more as a season premiere for Marinette's character
Hmm.
specifically. Start off with
Yeah.
her, she is the main character. But in terms of like narrative wise, um, it Climatic Queen works because like okay, Gabriel has literally just died in the season 5 finale, so we pick up right where like Adrian is kind of like questioning what he wants to do with his life now that his abusive, controlling father is no longer in the picture. So that makes sense because like if you watch season 5, I mean, if you were like a casual fan and you just kind of didn't follow season 5 and then you picked up with like season 6, Climatic Queen works. You're like, wait, Gabriel was gone? Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Like it works, but it Illustrator works more. So
Yeah.
it's a bit conflicting because I feel like they could have just easily done like a truth and lie sort of scenario ish
Hmm.
with
Yeah.
Illustrator and Climatic Queen. But
Hmm.
that's on that. I think Illustrator is a great episode. Um, I like the callback to having Aurora get akumatized because it's like okay for the nostalgic fans, like yeah, Stormy Weather is where we started off, so we're gonna run it back.
Yeah.
And I think the reason she got akumatized here was a lot more credible than wherever the reason was in the first Stormy Weather, so that was
Mm.
great. We also get Aglayi, which is like the start of the oh this is Lila like
Yeah.
thing. Um,
Hmm.
and other than that, I like the idea of Adrian like and Marinette going around the school and trying to figure out what his passion is. I really like that, and I like how he didn't find it at the end of the episode, and
Hmm.
then leave it quite open ended, and then we meet like what's her name, Sublime.
Sublime. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
um, yeah, and the animation was great, but it's just not something like I don't know. Clamatoween is just. I know I said it in my video, and I said, "Oh, Clamatoween is actually a really great episode." It is, But when I think of premieres, I do think it can be very forgettable as a premiere. And that's probably
Yeah.
due to the fact that we didn't actually see it first. Tomato Queen
Hmm.
was released like really, really out of order. So a lot of
Yeah.
people assume that Illustrator is the premiere. And in my opinion, I would say Illustrator is more of a premiere than Tomato Queen.
Yeah.
So I would put it in I'd put it in B.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. There were some really cute moments, in Climatic Queen, you know, um, because I agree with what you have been saying, G, that like Illustrator kind of feels more like the season premiere because that's what they showed first, to introduce season six. Because in Illustrator, you know, um, we literally have Ollie and Marinette. They stayed up all night trying to like figure out who's this new hawk moth, right? um and then we get more background of, oh, the other heroes can actually step in, to help out, the citizens, if there's like any other emergency other than, an akumatized villain, right? So Illustrator kind of gives us that. They kind of give us, oh, this is what they're doing outside of, fighting against an akumatized villain. Which I think, that's a great way to kind of reintroduce because I know I mentioned this previously that season six is like a soft reboot of, because it's a new story. Um, but yeah, but at the same time, in terms of narrative, Climatic Queen does make sense from a narrative, like you said, like, oh, if you skipped season five and you did not watch the end, the season finale, the two-part season finale of season five, and then you just go into season six, you're like, wait, Gabriel's gone? And then in Climatic Queen, we clearly see that Adrian, he doesn't really know what he wants to do with his life. And I think, that was said in like I think Wishmaker, where it if you remember that episode, G, where like Adrian's wish is to be what his parents expect him to be. But now that both of his parents are gone, he has like no direction, and narratively, it does make sense for a Climatic Queen to be the quote unquote season premiere. Um, and I kind of like you said, I kind of like how it's not easy finding because realistically, most people don't know what they want to do when they get older. It's a very common thing, like especially for like high school students, right? A lot of high school students, they just prefer to have fun. They don't really think about college, they don't think about, getting a job, right after high school. So I think, Climatic Queen does work narratively, as you said. And them and I kind of like how they're just spending time together too. Like, even though the main purpose of it was to help Adrian figure out, oh, like, let's try this, right? And then you just see Aurora just like sneakily taking photos of them. Because I think she wants to win a book or something, from a contest from Chloe, I think. So I think that was the whole point why she was like, and she was crafting a fake narrative. I'm just like, yeah, Aurora was doing a terrible thing because she was like making up fake narrative, kind of like Revelator, if you know what I mean. Like making up a fake narrative about Marinette and Adrian. And I'm just like, because I don't think to my knowledge, I don't think I don't know, did they ever figure out it was Aurora making up that fake stuff about
Yeah,
them? What?
yeah, they did.
Oh, okay. I don't exactly remember if they figured out if it was Aurora who made up the fake. But I think also, like you said, Climatic Queen also does introduce Agley. Um, and of course, because I've tuned in, to your Twitter spaces whenever a new trailer for like a new episode comes out, or, just to talk about the recent episode and whatnot, that majority of the fans are like calling it that like, okay, Agley, like Lila is Agley. Um, and literally my very good buddy Chris, he has been like telling me nonstop, and he's like going back into like previous episodes in season 6 to prove his theory. And like, what are your thoughts on that theory? Since they kind of introduced Agley in this episode.
Um, I don't, well, now that I think about it, it makes the most sense, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a red herring. Like I
Yeah.
understand Owley being Lila honestly makes sense. And if Lila's able to sort of disguise herself as ugly, like by akumatizing herself, because you can't just change your height. Um,
Hmm.
and we know Lila is a lot taller than ugly, so she would have probably had to like akumatize herself into someone that looks like a human. But then
Hmm.
again, like they say, well, Ugly states that she used to attend Francois Dupont High School at the beginning of the year when the criminalizations first started. But we don't
Hmm.
know that. That's her account, so she could very much be lying.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know, but I think it's a credible theory. But I also wouldn't be like too surprised or upset if it turned out to be a red herring.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because yeah, I'm on the same boat as you where I'm like, okay, I was like, I like the theory. And it's like I just want to see if the episode confirms that because like theories are good, but it's like you need to be sure the show actually confirms it for you so that way you don't you know, but yeah, I'm on the same boat as Yuji that like I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the Lila is Agley as a red herring and it's not actually true. Um you know because anything can happen in season 6. Like we don't even know where this story is heading. Like they introduced like, this secret organization in season 6 which apparently Gabriel was a part of. And I'm just like, how come we never heard of this organization until now? But um like they're introducing so many new story elements. And I think, Climatic Queen did a decent job. Even though I kind of, I'm like, I agree with you also that Illustrator should have been the season premiere because they kind of show um that like, oh, the superheroes do help out civilians, even when there's like no no akumatized villain, or if they're called to help, right? We don't we don't know where this story is heading, and I think, that's a good thing because um I think, we have like so many new story elements because now that Adrian is free of his father, he doesn't know what because remember, I forgot what episode it was, in season 6 where like Adrian's like, so what's on the schedule? And then Natalie's like, it's like you could do whatever you want. Like she's gonna telling him like, hey, it's like you don't have to do no schedule anymore. Um, and I think that's like interesting attention to detail because Adrian was just so used to going like he was so used to his father scheduling everything for him. But now that both of his parents are gone, he's like, what do I do at this time? I just go to school, go on dates with my girlfriend, you know. So it's kind of like an interesting new change of pace for Adrian's character too. So I think, Climatic Queen, they established pretty well now where, at the end of it, he's like he goes for a run. And I kind of feel like it kind of feels like I'm not sure. Have you seen like Forrest Gump, G?
I haven't.
Oh, um, it's a pretty good movie. And when I see Adrian run in that scene, I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels like Forrest running in Forrest Gump. Um, so, but I think, um, like now Adrian is more free, he doesn't have a full-on schedule unless, there are times where I think like the example of Mr. Agrest, where he had to, go to City Hall, right? To approve a statue of his dad. Um, but I think, Climatic Queen did a great job. Like obviously she has more extra abilities too, Climatic Queen. So, but I kind of like how you said it's a full circle moment because the season one premiere that we talked about is, with stormy weather. And then now here we are in season six with the new story arc. Oh yeah, season premiere. We're gonna start with Climatic Queen now. Um, and everything. So I think for like I kind of feel like it could be interchangeable, from what we have both been saying. Like it could either be Climatic Queen or Illustrator, because Illustrator they kind of give you more of like, oh, here's the other heroes can actually help out the civilians even when there's no akumatized villain. So I think, both of them are strong in their own ways, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so but I think it's kind of good that none of the season premieres are an F. Yeah, because I thought for sure one of them was going to be an F, but like looks like having this conversation with Yuji has been a lot of fun to like talk about the pros and the cons. Obviously Collector reigns supreme as like the best best season premiere in Miraculous. Um but yeah, I am going to be posting these results on my socials. And of course, I want to thank you, G, again for like because it's always so much fun to do this with you. Doing tier lists. Um, and yeah, hopefully I'm going to let you all know Serenity Spring Festival is going to be taking over the month of April, so I won't be having the usual live streams, but you never know. I have a lot of great events and I have been posting them on my socials. Of course, I am going to reveal what has been revealed so far. On April 1st at 1 p.m. PT, 4 p.m. ET is VTubing 101, Intro to VTubing with VTuber Pinky and Kira Kira a Star. So these two will be hosting a workshop of the intro to VTubing. If you want to know how to get into VTubing, here's two people who are actual VTubers, and they will be doing a presentation on how to do VTubing. And then of course another one on April 1st at 4 p.m. PT, 7 p.m. ET is Content Creator Showcase with Wisp the Wolf. Another one of my good buddies. He is a PNG VTuber and he will be showcasing his content and answering audience questions about their content. So it's going to be a mix of like different types of panels. So and then because of course I have on another one on April 1st at 6 p.m. PT, 9 p.m. ET is Artist Showcase with Fern's Stories. They will be showcasing their art and answering audience questions about their art. So, um, and of course, if you've been following my socials, there's a lot more panels and you never know, we may do something miraculous for the Spring Festival. There's a lot of panels coming soon, but I wanted to tell you all for April 1st. And of course, I want to thank you, G. Do you have any final words?
No, other than this was really, really fun to look at. And it's it was really interesting to look at because no one really talks about the season premieres of Miraculous Ladybug. So that was really interesting to look at. And like you said, glad that no premiere was in the tier F.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on that bell notifications for upcoming live streams and video content. And of course, stay tuned if you want to tune in to Serenity Spring Festival, which is next month, all of the month of April. A link to my Discord server is coming soon, so you can tune in and ask my guests, because I have lots of guests coming to this spring festival. So I want to thank you all for the continued support of my YouTube channel. And of course, hope to see you guys at Serenity Spring Festival next month. So I'll see you guys later. Bye everyone.